What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 32 of the Roots of Success podcast. I am your host, Nate the Great Peterman, coming at you. And today we have a very, very special guest, my guy, June Archer. What's going on, brother?
Brother Nate, how are you, man? I'm so happy to be on this show with you. As you know, I'm one of your biggest fans, man. So this is so important, man, to me, and it means a lot. It's an honor to sit here and have the opportunity to chat with you and your following.
Absolutely, June. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're a super busy man, and I know we've met about a few years ago, and it's definitely been a blessing to be a part of your life and everything. And yeah, man. So for the people or the audience that might be wondering, who is June Archer?
Right.
I'll sort of give them a behind the scenes, a little bit of a brief background. So June Archer is an author, former major record label executive, owner of a marketing company, and motivational teacher. Currently at the helm of a growing multimedia marketing company as president and CEO of 1128 Entertainment, June Archer got his first exposure to the industry on the music scene behind the microphone. He soon realized that his dream would soon become a reality by successfully impacting the industry behind the scenes. Most recently, he has added the credit of executive producer to his name with reality shows, the Docu-Tape, and Behind the Unsigned, shows debuted on Fuse TV. He also co-produced motivational pregame content for Sunday NFL Countdown on ESPN. With June's combined musical talents, experience in the entertainment industry, and commitment to community, he is reaching for the stars and encouraging others to join him. Man, that's quite the intro, brother.
Man, and we're still working. We're still so many other things to continue to add on to that. So I'm just blessed to be able to have had those opportunities and the opportunities I currently have. Just trying to make sure I'm a blessing to everyone on my path along this journey as best as I can be, putting my best foot forward and being the best person that I can be.
Absolutely, brother. So sort of walk us, through things a little bit, right? I want to hear more so, the behind the scenes of you sort of growing up, and of course, really, some of the things that you might have experienced, the trials and tribulations to basically get you to where you're at today. Because I know it wasn't easy, June. I know you have a very powerful story. So yeah, brother, feel free to share.
It's never easy, no matter where you are along the journey. My journey started many moons ago, growing up with a couple of my good friends, childhood friends who I'm still friends with today, having a dream of becoming megastars because we enjoyed watching Michael Jackson. As we know, his birthday was just yesterday. So having the opportunity to be able to sing and dance was just such a joy. In grade school, I should say middle school is when I started, and the dream just kept going. And we started evolving. We started creating a boy group, singing and dancing, trying to emulate, the great New Edition. And with that, we just fell in love with it, and we kept going from talent show to talent show, from high schools to colleges, to community colleges, and just getting a name for ourselves throughout the Connecticut and New England area. And one day we had the opportunity to win a competition that allowed us to go to the Great Apollo Theater. And we had family and friends come out, and we won that competition. And second place in that competition was a childhood friend of mine. A lot of you guys may know. She goes by the name of Anika Noni Rose. She's the first African-American Disney princess, Princess Tiana. She just was in Carmen Jones. She was in Dreamgirls. She was on Power as Jukebox. And just I mention her because I like to let people know you don't always have to come in first. And even when you come in second, it allows you the opportunity to continue working harder, that she has propelled herself to be a major actress in Hollywood. So first, second, third makes no matter, because sometimes when you're in first, you got to work that much harder to stay on top. But when you're in second, you work that much harder to try to, I have to get first place next time, or you just want to be able to compete. So we won that competition, went on to the Apollo Theater, went to the Apollo Theater 20 times to perform before we finally got discovered. And once we got discovered, that was in the early 90s. And it took from 90 to 95 to actually get a record deal. We were discovered, but just heartbreak after heartbreak, being let down, being misled, bad advice, bad management. We finally had the opportunity to get a record deal, and then the record came out in 1997. Now, I give you that time frame because from 95 to 97 seems like a long time, but from 1990 to 95 is a very long time. But we literally started 1985. I don't even know if you were even around in 1985, Nate.
No.
So, that's how long I've been on this journey. And as a classic VH1 story would have it, Too Much, Too Fast, Too Soon, we found ourselves on the Billboard charts, MTV, BT, VH1, Music Box, and all the video outlets. And we just imploded. It's Too Much, Too Fast, Too Soon. And the group broke up. And that's when I realized I would never, after that day, put myself in a position where I had to rely on somebody else in order to be successful. Just happened to be one person in the group. We were a 5-man group that just opted out, like unknowingly, didn't show up. We're on tour until the label finally found out. And they were like, you know, you can send these guys home. We're spending way too much money. We spent over $1 million on these guys. Like, send them home. And that's when the rug was pulled from under us. And I promised myself, never put yourself in that position again. And always find yourself, because I've had great mentors like Michael Bivins from New Edition and Belle Biv DeVoe, and Sylvia Rohn and Eric Sermon from EPMD. And there's so many others, Dougie Fresh, I could go on, Daddy-O from Stetsasonic. There's so many of them. Make sure that you find yourself in a position to try to create multiple streams of revenue. So that when this stream is done, or this stream is slow, you have something else to fall back on or try to hold you up. And there are times in my industry where there's highs, there's lows. You're on a game of runs, and then some days you're like trying to figure out how you're going to make it happen. All right, so you have to continue to be committed to your craft and to the game, because at any point in time, if one of those streams ends up being a well that goes dry, you're going to find yourself stuck. So when that was over, Nate, I found myself in a position to, I fell in love with music. I was in love with music. I wasn't done with it yet, and had the opportunity to get back in the industry as an executive and ran a label, Starside Entertainment, under Universal Records, Elektra Records. And at that point, I was able to work with so many artists. And I kind of, was kind of like the go-to. I was your A&R's favorite A&R. So I worked with Amarion, I worked with Chris Brown, I worked with Mario, Jay-Z, Beyonce, 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, just to name a few. And it was great. It was a great run. And then one day, 2010, I kind of just felt a little different about the music and where it was going. And at that point, I looked at social media and I said to myself, everyone seems so down about life. Everyone seems so negative. And I'm looking at posts on Facebook, and like, how do you get up in the morning and you're so upset and you don't want to go to work, or you're mad at your spouse, or you're mad at your parent, you're mad at your best friend, and you're airing out your dirty laundry on social media? And I just began posting these things called keys to success, today's keys to success. And every day I will post something, just not that I expected anything out of it, but I really just wanted people to think glass half full instead of glass half empty. Read something that will allow you to start the day with your best foot forward. And as things started to progress, people would say to me, Nate, you should write a book. I'm like, I'm not an author. Like, I'm a music guy. I write lyrics. I don't know if it's the same thing. Do you mind if I post this on my refrigerator to show my children? Can I bring this to work and put it on my desk? Can I put this on a refrigerator? And I would tell people, do with it as you would like. It's not to be coveted. It's to be shared. But yeah, I don't want to write a book. And I realized at that point, Nate, that I was blocking my blessings. And I finally went back to Facebook and the market research. They tell you do market research. So I went back and looked at posts that had 100 or more likes. And I took those and I gathered them. And I found more that were more than 100 likes. And I put those in one pile. And I compiled a book of quotes that I had created over almost a 2-year period. And titled that book, Yes, Every Day Can Be a Good Day. And the reason why I came up with that name is I was in couples therapy with my wife. We were around the 5-year mark, and people would say, get get a tune up, figure it out, find a way to bring a spark back. And, just things that I needed to do as a husband and as a spouse and just as an individual. And we both learned a lot. And in that time, you go to the therapist and they say, okay, Nate, how you doing today? How was your week? And I would answer these questions the same way every time. I woke up this morning and life is good. And after a while, I think the therapist just had enough. And she looked at my wife and said, is he always like this? My wife was like, yes. And I think that's part of the problem. But he's always been this person. My family couldn't believe it. He's always been this person. And I said to her, like, listen, I woke up this morning. I have nothing really to complain about. I said, today's a good day. And she looked at me. She said, can every day be a good day to you? And soon as I was getting ready to say it come out of my mouth, I reached for a pen. I said, I know I'm not supposed to write this down, but I said, yes, every day can be a good day. And I took it, and she looked at me like I was crazy, like, you're not supposed to write anything or pull out your phones. And I wrote it down. I said, this is going to be the title of my book when I finish it. And I realized that, Nate, bad things happen to good people all the time. You will have days where things don't go your way, but the gift is you woke up in the morning. Some people did not wake up this morning. That's just a fact. Some people have not made it to this point during the day because of something unfortunate. And some people won't make it through the day. And as the cycle continues, some people won't wake up tomorrow. So we're blessed to be here right now with this opportunity. So yes, every day can be a good day. I didn't say every day will be, but it can be based on your perspective, how you view the world, and what you want to do with your life along your journey, inspiring others in your circle and motivating people to become those who are appreciative at the moment that you just wake up. So that in a nutshell is how I got to this point. And when I blocked my blessing by not putting the book out, I didn't realize how blessed I was going to be when I finished the book. And when the book was done and we started promoting it, we started promoting 6 months out. By the time it came out, we had a release party. There were no books for anybody who had pre-ordered because it had sold out the first run. So it was a blessing. And it's allowed me the opportunity to travel outside of the country, around the country, speaking, evangelizing to people about following their dreams and thinking glass half full. Reinventing yourself and inspiring people around you and just dreaming the impossible, because if you believe in dreams, anything is possible. And I'm here today just to, still follow my dreams. I have days where things just don't go your way, right? But if you take it to the top of the movie every morning, the minute you wake up, Nate, that right there is the best thing that will happen to you today. No matter if anything else goes wrong or if anything else goes right. If it goes right, that's icing on the cake. If it goes wrong, it really doesn't matter. You woke up this morning, you can fix it. And if you can't fix it today, hopefully you wake up tomorrow and you have another shot at trying to fix it.
That's deep, June. Definitely that perspective. It's something to look at, because I feel like a lot of people, they wake up and they're just like, oh my gosh, here we go, another day.
Right.
Right. Back to the work grind, and people are just not like satisfied with what they're doing in their life. So sort of touch more so on how they can sort of change that perspective a little bit more. So like maybe it's within their morning routine. Maybe it's like with something that they do before they go to sleep. What is that, thing that you recommend to somebody that they wake up, they hear that alarm clock and they're just like, man, I want to throw that out the window, or give me a hammer. I just want to, boom, I want to hit that thing,
Right.
So like, what would you recommend for somebody like that to improve that?
It depends on what you believe in and how you go about life. If you're religious or spiritual, find that thing, right? Before you go to bed. If it's meditation, if it's prayer, find that thing that allows you to turn off devices, phone and televisions. Turn them off. Give yourself time to shut down. Just like you shut down the computer. Give yourself time to shut down and get rid of the static noise. When you wake up, or before you go to bed, prompt a couple of things that will allow you to read it in the morning that will get you going. Like, do not go on social media to watch or read what friends are posting that are negative. So if your friend Nate or June is posting something negative, it would be in your best interest to either lose that friend on social media. I'm not saying you have to eliminate the relationship altogether, or just make sure that that does not pop up on your timeline. Like you have to, I had this hashtag, change your timeline, clean up your timeline. If you clean up your timeline, the things that post when you first see them should be motivational. They should be inspirational. They should get you out the bed saying, you know what? Wow, Nate just said he finished the book. I got to get to finishing my book. Oh, Nate said he went out and he just saw something amazing outside. I want to go see it. I want to experience that same feeling. Oh, June said, you know, he woke up this morning, he went to Dunkin' Donuts, and he had a random act of kindness given to him by some, like, I want to experience that. That makes me want to do the same thing. Pay for somebody's donut, pay for somebody's coffee at Starbucks. Find something that gives you energy when you get out of the bed, that it makes you want to put your best foot forward and gives you the energy to go out and live your best life that day. So whether you clean up your timeline or you start to change the people around you, right? They say if you hang with 9 broke friends, you're bound to be the 10th one. If you hang with 9 negative friends, or 9 friends who are not going anywhere, or 9 friends who are so distraught about life, then you are going to be, unless you are super strong mentally and emotionally, you are going to be bogged down by these individuals. So start to draw back from individuals who wake up and they're like, oh man, it's Monday. Yeah, it is Monday. Like it's the beginning of the week. Let's go get it. Or I got to go to work. Well, thank God you got a job, because there's some people who do not have a job. Oh my God, this car, I got to get it. But you have a car. Some people are walking. Some people, they are nowhere near public transportation. Oh my goodness, my girlfriend or my boyfriend. Some people don't have anybody that love them or have anybody to love. So you have to start changing your perspective. Be around people and couples who appreciate each other no matter what happens. There's no perfect relationship. We don't even have a perfect relationship with whatever we believe in, because we are human. So if you think you're going to have a perfect relationship with another human being, this is not the planet for you. I promise you. But what you can do is find people, not necessarily who think like you, but who appreciate life like you do, and know that, listen, we are human enough to figure it out. And if we can't figure it out ourselves, we can figure it out together. So begin to start changing those people around you. Keep people around you that excite you. It's that friend that you have. You're like, every time we go out, like Nate is the life of the party. Find 9 people that are the life of the party, who hold you accountable for your actions, who hold you accountable to be better, to hold you accountable to put your best foot forward. And you can't help but wake up being in a great mood, because no one likes the person who is the Debbie Downer of the party. You don't want that. So clean up your timeline. If you can't change the people around you, then you should change the people around you.
No, that's deep, June. Clean up your timeline. I like that, because I mean, social media is definitely it's an amazing tool to use. I mean, it's not like you have to pay for it, at least not yet. You know, it's totally free, but there are a lot of distractions on it. But even myself, I look at what you just said, like cleaning up your timeline. I do that all the time. If I see people that post, you know, like a photo or, you know, a status, and I'm just like, man, it's just not, like, I'm not getting any value from this. Like, this ain't feeding into my brain the way it should be. Like, I want positivity, I want success, I want principles and things like that. And that's literally why social media created like not a block feature, but more so, for example, with Instagram, you can actually hide somebody's story. Right. Or you can see less of their posts. And that's one thing I love about social media, because you can monitor and you can clean up your timeline. I like how you said that.
But you don't need these things. But you don't need these things to do it. Like if you feel like you have to block someone, and you just get rid of them. They no longer have to follow you. Like, you just get rid of that. You got to have the discipline in order to do that. If you really want to be successful in what you want to do, if you really just want to be happy, you have to do these things for yourself. Because you wouldn't put bad things in your body, right? So some people are like, oh, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, but you will be amongst negative people. It's the same thing. You may not put it in your body, but you're putting it in your mind. But the first thing that goes is your mind, because your mind kind of tells your body what to do most times. So if you're feeling negative and you're like, oh, I don't feel good, then your body starts to, well, we don't feel good either, right? So everything works out. In like, stop feeding yourself mentally bad things so that your body in turn could kind of function the way it's supposed to function. So don't put bad gas in your car expecting that it's going to give you optimum performance.
Man, that's deep. Man, I hope the audience is taking notes right now, June. You're dropping some gems. But let's transition to music a little bit here. I'm sort of curious on your intake and everything. On sort of like what we have going on in today's music world compared to, let's say, like the 90s and things like that. So
90s was the best time, mate. It's tough. The comparison is tough. Comparison is really tough. Yeah.
For sure. I'm curious to hear sort of like your perspective. Obviously, we live in a very social media, frenzy age where you got all these, rappers and people that are blowing up on social media. You got SoundCloud. You didn't necessarily have that, all those years back. So I'm sort of curious on your intake, how people are sort of making it nowadays, right? Compared to how much work you might have had to put in back whenever you were really into it. You know what I mean? Like back in the 90s and things like that. Like, what's your perspective and everything on actually making it big? Like, for example, within the music industry or just the whole industry in general. You know what I mean?
I think, in my perspective, you don't have to work as hard at your craft. You have to work harder at your brand or branding. When we were doing it, and my guys and I talked about it recently, like we were rehearsing every day just about. When people were outside playing basketball in the summer, we were in the driveways or at the local community center with mic stands performing our steps hour after hour. During the winter, when it was snowing, we were in the community centers. We were in the high school, the janitors letting us in, setting up our mic stands, practicing our steps, practicing how we were going to react to the crowd if it wasn't hype, or how do we make the crowd hype. Like, we practiced that day in and day out. And that what our brand was. When you see these guys on stage, like, they're going to shut it down. So we never really had to worry about our brand because it spoke for itself once we stood on stage. But now people are working on their brand. They never work on their stage show. They never worked on their craft. They may have some decent music, right? But they're so busy worrying about their brand and what they look like on social media, what they look like on IG, because they got to gain so many followers that they forget about the craft, right? So you don't have a lot of artists who could go out there and perform live, which is why a lot of the old school hip hop and R&B artists and country music artists, artists like Bon Jovi, like, they can go out today and do a whole concert, and most of them can perform in stadiums because they always put their craft first and let it speak for itself. No disrespect to the artists that are out now, and no disrespect to the powers that be, because some of them are my colleagues, but the numbers don't always speak for themselves. The numbers do lie, right? So you can have 500,000 followers and you put out an album and you're selling less than 10,000 copies. That means there's no audience engagement. They did not fall in love with your brand. You may have put some posts up there that might got people excited. You might even bought some followers, but you have not taken the time to create a story or bring your followers or your fans or your friends along the journey to show them who you are as you grow as an artist. That is the difference. And it's reflected in the music.
No, for sure. I think what you just said is very powerful, because I feel people definitely have a misconception on how to actually go, not viral, but actually to sustain it. Because you see a lot of artists out there nowadays, and just brands in general, where, they have a great showcase, they have a great highlight reel, but like what you were saying, they're not necessarily at that level yet to, perform at a stadium, right? They're not necessarily going to sell, 10,000 copies, if they have 500,000 followers. way back when, I'm sure it was very possible. But again, I mean, you didn't necessarily have social media as much, and you didn't have like a follower count that attested to how many people actually, somewhat follow you. I'm not sure you buy followers nowadays, but
right.
I think
you
that's
had to
super.
do the work. You had to do the
Right.
work. When we came out, our MP3 was an actual vinyl record.
Wow.
Right. So you had to. The whole process was you mail these records out, these vinyl out, or they call them test press. Right. You send them out, and then you have to call these DJs and say, "Hey, did you put the needle on it?" Some people, I just lost them when I just said that. Did you put the needle on it? Did you play the vinyl record? And I need your feedback. It wasn't immediate as it is now, where you press a button, and the whole universe has this record. So you have to call people and say, "Hey, did you like the record, Nate? What do you think about it? I need your feedback. Will you play it?" There was no MP3, right? So it's even easier now, right? And when you don't work on your craft, you don't get better. So there are artists now who you watch them live and they're rapping or they're singing with the music. That means you didn't take enough time to work on your craft to be able to sing the song without having a backup track. I'm not talking about background vocals. I'm talking about lead vocals. You are lip syncing. That means you are cheating your audience. You are cheating your followers. You are cheating your fans. Just for the sake of, well, I got to sound like the record. Well, if you practice your craft, you don't have to worry about that, because we want a live music experience. It would kill me if Bob Marley, who I think is one of the greatest writers of all time, came out and he started lip syncing One Love. It would be disappointing. It would be disappointing, to say the least. Especially when people spend their hard-earned money to come and see a show. For that matter, I could just listen to the MP3 or listen to the CD. I don't have to come watch you perform. If you're going to give me exactly what I listened to in the car on the way to the concert, I could have just saved my money.
Wow. Man, that's so true. What advice would you give to somebody that's listening or watching this, and they want to make like that breakthrough, right? So I know you said about like it's the brand that's huge nowadays, right? Whether you're an artist, whether you're a speaker, entrepreneur, the brand is everything. But let's go a little bit deeper. What is one thing that you believe every single person that wants to establish an online presence, maybe they already have an online presence, but they need a little bit of guidance, right? I know this is in your lane. What is that one thing? Maybe it's a trait, maybe it's, an action step for them to go do. What is that one thing that you recommend could absolutely just revolutionize their brand if they went out and did it?
What is your story? And what are you trying to tell? You have to start there. Is it impossible to be everything for everyone? No, but you have to start with something. For me, it's artist turned executive, now motivational speaker and teacher, right? That is my story. I'm giving you my story. For those who may have wanted to be in the music business, I can talk about it. For those who found themselves in a situation, I worked in corporate America for 15 years. To make that transition, to reinvent yourself, I can talk about that. And now I can talk about being an author and motivational teacher, because that is what I'm living. So what is your story? And how do you plan on sharing it? And how transparent are you willing to be to show people and let people in that they can grow and learn about who you are so they can learn about who they are, right? So you can't lead people if they can't understand you, right? And for me, it's there's so many people who've worked in corporate America who've been there. I have friends who are still in corporate America, and now they're getting ready to retire, and they are barely in their mid-40s. That's all they've known for the past 25, 30 years. So how do you teach them how to reinvent yourself? Easy. Listen, this is what I did. I worked in corporate America 15 years. I was in the music business. And when I stopped doing that, I became an executive. When I stopped doing that, or when the time came, I became an author. When that came, I became a motivational teacher. Now I'm an author of 2 books. So you can continue to reinvent yourself. No one's saying you can't ever be just one thing or stay in one lane. If you look at Snoop Dogg, he has been able to reinvent himself time after time for the past couple of decades, where he is now has a span of people who are 60, 70 years old and teenagers that love Snoop Dogg. That's a hard thing to do. But when you're able to share who you are, his thing is he smokes. He's Snoop Dogg. That's his story.
Right.
Whether you smoke or not, if you do, you're like, this is the guy. I follow this guy. Right? And if you don't, because you love his music or you love his persona, you have grown with him. You learn, you know his story. So be honest about your story. And that's how you draw people in. And that's how you grow your brand, because people say, all right, I knew Nate when he first started. And then Nate came out with a book, and then Nate came out with his podcast. And like, I've seen him grow. Now he's top 20 in iTunes. Like, this is like, they need to know your story in order to grow and fall in love with you. Why do we fall in love with athletes, artists, right? We fall in love with them because we gravitate towards their story, and we love a great story of triumph, of comeback, of underdog, right? So if people believe in your story and you're as genuine as you can be, people follow that, they fall in love with you. And if you engage them along the journey, then you have them. It doesn't matter what you're doing at that point. Now Snoop is doing the show with Martha Stewart. He's got his own, he's doing plays now. If he comes out with an album, people will follow him and support him because they've bought into the brand, because they love the man behind the brand.
Man, that's deep. I like how you said that about Snoop Dogg, because he wasn't even in my generation. Right, like he wasn't even in my generation, and it's not like, I'm not into smoking or anything like that, but I just look at his story and everything. It's emotional. You look at somebody like LeBron James and the school that he just opened up.
Amazing.
Like obviously he's a great athlete, but more people want to, of course, associate him and with him. And then, of course, the MJ, the LeBron, and they say who's better, but it's like, man, look at their stories. They both have incredible stories. Look at what LeBron's doing, right? Like, yeah, he went to the LA Lakers. I mean, it is what it is, but like, you can't hate on a man that is doing so many great things for the community. And I think that's definitely super crucial, especially in today's, social media age. So how important would you say, June, is going out and participating, like, within the community? For example, like networking. I know you've been a master networker over these good many years and everything like that. So I'm sort of curious, how important has networking been in your life? And how would you recommend somebody to start if they're not the best at it? You know what I mean?
Networking is the only thing. And the great thing about it, ironically, is I've actually started to create a course on networking. And I'm not afraid to share it. I think to make a long story short, one of the things that you have to do along your journey is try to meet as many people as you can while you can. 3 years ago, I went to go change my phone at T-Mobile. And in the process of doing it, they were trying to transfer over my contacts. I had been there at this point now 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They told me it would only take a few minutes. Almost 45 minutes goes by, and I'm trying to figure out, because at this point, I'm like, okay, it's a certain time. I got to get home, get my kids off the bus. How much longer is this going to take? Mr. Archer, we're sorry. We've been having a problem with the machine. It seems as though you have too many contacts in your phone. Wow. Okay. I'm not certain what that means, but if you're supposed to transfer them over, and I essentially supposed to walk out of the store with the same phone, even though it's a new phone, right? It should be the exact replica of what I'm getting rid of in this new device. Well, it keeps crashing the device, and for some reason, like we just can't transfer everything over. It's saying that you have 80,000 contacts. And I said to myself, 80,000. They're like, is that right? And I'm like, you know what? That may be incorrect, because the last time I came, I think what happened is, as I was trying to do my due diligence, I think it doubled the contacts. So they're like, okay, but even still, You know 40,000 people? I said, that might be right. That might be right. And it's like, who are you and what do you do? Well, I'm in the music and television business, and my whole journey is I go out and meet people, right? Because what I've learned over the years is if you want to be the common denominator, the only way to be the common denominator is to know as many people as you can that you could be a blessing to other people. So when you hear some people say, well, I don't really talk to Nate because Nate only calls me when he wants something. All right. There is something to be said about that comment. All right. It is, if Nate only calls you when he wants something, that means you have something Nate wants or that Nate wants access to, right? And if that is the case, you are the common denominator. So if it's Nate, if it's June, if it's Jerry, if it's Tom, and they keep calling you, you have to find out how to get mileage out of connecting the dots. Some people say, well, they're just using you. Okay, well, here's the rebuttal for that. If you're not being used, you're being useless. So if you need an attorney right now, I got about 10 of them for you. You want a copyright attorney? I got one. You want a music attorney? I got a few of those. You want a divorce attorney? I got a few of those too. But it's because you go out and meet as many people as you. Listen, hey, my name is June Archer. Oh, Nate Peterman. Oh, pleasure to meet you. What do you do? Now that I know what you do, who you are, where you live, the next time someone talks, you know what? I've been trying to, promote this product, and I'm looking for a couple of people who talk. Oh, you know what? Let me introduce you to Nate. He has a podcast. He has a show. And he's looking for guests. So you got to know what people want and what people are looking for. And the only way you do that is to introduce yourself. I don't care if it's the janitor. I don't care if it's the person at the front desk. I don't care if it's the CEO. I don't care if it's the president. I don't care if it's the vice president. I don't care if it's a police officer, fireman, garbage man. I'm giving you everyone that you should know. You should know your garbage man. You should know your postman. You should know whoever the state rep. Like, meet everyone that you can along your journey. That if anyone says, hey, you know what? I'm having some plumbing issues. No problem. Call Nate. He worked on my place and he worked at my mom's house. And he's great. And if Nate doesn't work out, I got June. How many plumbers do you know? I know a few of them. You ask around. You network, right? And there may be 2 plumbers that need to connect. Hey, Nate's looking for a partner and June's looking for a partner. Let me connect you guys. You guys both do great work. Now you're the dot connector. Now at some point, it comes back 100-fold because the blessing is in connecting the dots, not just figuring out, now how do I get money off of these guys because I connected them. You may or you may not. They may say, hey, here's a finder's fee or here's a percentage because you brought in business. That would be great, but it doesn't work every time. But what does happen is you get blessed 100-fold when you least expect it because you connected the dot for somebody else. So networking is super important. And there's so many ways to go about it. I just gave you one. Go out and meet 5 people today and put it in your phone. Or just say, hey, listen, pleasure to meet you, Nate. I would love to stay in contact. Can I get your email? You don't have to go for the phone number the first time. And then shoot them an email. And then through email, you can say, hey, here's my contact number just so that you have it. Let's get in contact with each other and stay in touch. Nate may reply and say, hey, no problem. Here's my cell phone. Now you have a cell phone number. And then from there, what you have to do is to cultivate the relationship so it doesn't feel like you're just bothering anybody just because you want something. There are at least 4 times out of the year that you can stay in contact with somebody. Everyone has a birthday. Everyone celebrates New Year's Eve. Everyone celebrates at least 2 holidays. So you could pick Christmas. You could pick Thanksgiving. You could even say happy Labor Day weekend, happy Memorial Day weekend. You could say happy Easter. You could say happy Valentine's Day. But you have at least 4 times a year that you could text somebody or email them and not want anything at all. And what happens is, Nate, here's the magic. I text Nate and just say, hey, Nate, I realize today's your birthday. Just want to say hello, man. Have a great day. God bless you. Nate may text back and say, June, I'm so glad that you hit me. I just thought about you the other day, or this opportunity came up and I couldn't figure out who I could connect with. Call this guy. He's looking for a motivational teacher to speak at his school. I think you would be great. Because if you wait and not reach anybody, you'll never know. Closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask, you don't get. But if you just reach out and connect and say, hey, listen, just randomly, hey, have a great day, man. You know, today's Boxing Day in Canada. I know you live in Canada, so happy Boxing Day. Oh, man, I'm glad that you hit me. Hey, what are you doing next week? Come on out. We're doing X, Y, and Z. That's where the blessing comes in. That's where the networking comes in. So just meeting someone, that's just part of the networking. But put it into practice and say hello. Like, we're so tech savvy right now, and emails, and like everyone has at least Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, or they have a phone. Find a way. You can't communicate with everybody at all times, but it pops up in your phone on Facebook that it's today somebody's birthday. Right. All you have to do, happy birthday on LinkedIn. Someone's having a birthday, or Nate just started a new job. Hey, Nate, congratulations on the new gig. Hope all is well. If you need anything, let me know. That's another piece. You don't always have to ask what they can do for you. Ask what you can do for someone else. That's how magic works with networking.
Man, June, that's deep. Man, I definitely want to be valuable with your time, of course. I just look at the steps that you just provided us with networking, because it's definitely crucial, of course, within our lives. And I just look at, again, social media. You know, I'm not a big texter, right? I dread texting. I like sending audio messages, and I like sending video messages. I do that a lot when it comes to, for example, Instagram. So if somebody hits me up, I'm going to be like, okay, let me sort of shock them a little bit. And I send them a video message like, what's going on, guys? You know, so what's up, Bob? Just want to let you know, man, I saw your message, yada, yada, yada. Because I know in their mind, it's not common. Right. And people like uncommon, right? Especially when it comes from somebody else, right? So that's something for me that I've tried. And, you know, I tell people a lot, especially if I do like a Facebook Live or something. And it's definitely great. It's a great networking piece because not a lot of people do it. And then people want to see how they can be different with whether it's in their business or their brand. And then you tell them something like that and they're just blown away. And they start doing it and they're like, hey, man, I just got a new lead. I can't believe what you just said worked. And it's like, you know, just by doing that.
Just by doing that. It's that simple. You're just a blessing to someone else. It feels good. It feels good. If nothing else, it feels good that you're able to inspire that person or just put something in them to evoke an emotion or behavior.
Absolutely. So you said you have a course coming out, or is it out already? Or
no, we're trying to finish it up now. We have the pieces to it. Now we have to shoot the video piece of it, but it's going to be, you know, on networking and the power of networking. So I'm super excited about it. I feel like I have a couple of keys to success that people could use. And a lot of the business that I have today, relationships that I have today, is based on just really great networking. And I've been the guy that, you know, the guys that I started in the music with, they'll tell everybody, like, June is like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Like he'll go in the roughest places and make a friend, you know. So it's just all about just being your genuine self and letting things take place organically and just really just being, you know, someone on a humanistic level and just good morning, hello, good afternoon, good night, how are you? My name is June Archer. It's really that simple. And the best relationships and friendships starts with a simple hello.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Whenever the course does come out, are you going to put that on your website, or where can they find it?
Most certainly. Okay. We're going to and definitely be YouTube. Right now we're shooting it for Skillshare, so we're super excited about that. But it's I guarantee you it's going to change people's perspective and change their course of action on how they do business and how they network and how they sustain friendships and relationships. It's going to be that powerful. That's how we feel. We feel like it's going to be super powerful. It's going to change lives.
Yeah, I know. I'll definitely be on the lookout for that as well, because I don't care who you are. I always believe that you can sharpen, you know, especially your networking skills. I know that's super crucial. And then, June, where can they find you on social media? And then what's your website?
Website is iamjunearcher.com. That's IAMJUNEARCHER. And I am on every social media platform from Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, at June Archer, JUNEARCHER. That's simple. Every day I post something motivational or inspirational on all platforms. So if you would be so kind, please follow, check it out. I promise you, you'll be inspired. And if you're not inspired, I promise you, you will be motivated. So there really is no excuse. And if not anything else, it at least will make you smile.
Absolutely. I will attach those links in the description below. That way you guys can go check June out. Give him a message. Let him know that you came from the podcast and everything like that. And June, as always, man, I appreciate the value. I appreciate the gems and all the gold that you dropped on this podcast today, brother. Seriously, man, I learned so much just by having you on, and I'm sure the audience did as well. So, as always, brother, I really appreciate that.
Listen, I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing some really great things. And I've seen the growth and I've seen the development. And I can't tell you where you're going, but I know that you are headed there. So please use me as a resource. I am part of your network. And listen, he has some things in store for you, brother, that you have no idea. But this alone lets me know that you are on the path and your trajectory is nothing but headed for success. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for allowing me to be on this platform. It is an honor, and we love you, brother.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
You got it.